Good afternoon, folks. Today we're going to talk about another prototype aircraft. This would be the Rockwell XFV-12. This was a prototype vertical takeoff, short takeoff and landing aircraft that was designed by Rockwell, formerly North American Aviation, to compete against the Harrier jump jet. The idea was these would be an American designed vertical takeoff jet. It'd be Mach 2 plus capable and also able to be flown off of. The sea control ship was a concept that was developed in the 60s and 70s by Admiral Zumwalt. It never really got off the ground either, much like this jet. So the Rockwell XFV-12 program started in 1972, so it already had a late start compared to the Harrier. They had a prototype ready by 1977. They did tethered test flights and taxi tests and such through to 1978, and it was canceled in 1981. It was a very interesting looking aircraft, had a kind of a canard configuration in the front, and had a set of ducted nozzles that would basically were plumbed through the wing. It had a really interesting system of mixing ambient air along with exhaust thrust in order to create control and everything with its wings. You can see here the way the wings would tilt in order to get that thrust going in a downward direction. Really interesting. It was kind of built on a short budget. It used the cockpit and landing gear from an A4 Skyhawk and the wing box from an F4 Phantom. Really interesting stuff. Pratt & Whitney F401 turbofan and a lot of ducting, whole lot of ducting. In theory, the science was sound. In practice, it didn't really work. It produced a lot less thrust than it was supposed to. And in fact, it could only lift about 75% of its own weight. That's why this aircraft never flew under its own power. It did tethered test flights where it was suspended to simulate having enough thrust, but it just never had enough thrust. I'm not quite sure how in the world it would have ever gone Mach 2 if it couldn't get off the ground, but that's the way it is. Anyhow, there's some really good photographs and drawings and paintings of this that I've put into this video you might enjoy. I believe there is one, or at least part of one fuselage that is still remaining and under restoration, and that's about as far as this aircraft ever got. So now you know just a little bit about the Rockwell XFV-12.